Hello, Philotaku friends. Based on the results of the polling I shared a few days ago, L became the winner of the poll. Actually, I was hoping that Eren Yeager would be the winner, but the results of the poll are final, so I will discuss how L thinks and how he defeats Light Yagami in the Death Note series. Let's go to the video discussion. Warning: this video is for educational purposes only. Some information may not be morally good to apply in the real world. So, do not use the information provided to hurt others and/or for personal gain. Death Note is a Japanese manga series written by Tsugumi Oba and illustrated by Takeshi Obata, later adapted into an anime series in 2006. The show is famous for its clever and very engaging writing, receiving an 8.9 rating on IMDb and ranking 31st on the site's list of best shows. The story of Death Note begins when Light Yagami finds the Death Note, a book that can kill anyone whose name is written in it. Light Yagami, a genius student, turns out to be a psychopath and starts killing many people. This event attracts the attention of ICPO, the international police in the show, who realize that this is no coincidence. They conclude that someone is responsible for all these deaths. This is where L, the world's greatest detective, gets interested in the case. No one knows L's real name, whereabouts, or face. However, he always manages to solve every case he takes, no matter how difficult. He is the best of the best in the world. From the investigation conducted, L sees that almost all the criminals who died were people who had been broadcasted in the Japanese area, so most likely the culprit is Japanese, or at least living in Japan. L then directly confronts Kira in Japan. L Game of Intelligence begins here. Let's break down the scene. The interruption on TV was made as urgent as possible, appearing like a sudden emergency broadcast to the whole world. To make it more convincing, we can even see unprepared people in the background. L uses a prisoner who is to be executed that day as bait to lure Kira into revealing himself. Many dictators in history also used bait to lure assassins and gather information about who their real enemies were. L opens his speech by calling Kira a serial killer, a very confrontational word that triggers Kira's anger. L clearly wrote the script for Lind L. Taylor. Many of us have high egos, even those who feel they have. He adds pressure and resistance by calling it the most brazen murder in history. It's clearly not, but this again aims to provoke Kira's anger. L then challenges Kira's ego by calling these murders the most brazen in history and promises to catch Kira. L tries to provoke Kira's anger so that he makes a mistake. In the real world, the police would not try to provoke someone with such power, but L is different. He has thought about who he will face. Many of us have high egos. Even those who feel they have strong or indifferent minds are still very easy to trigger through their anxieties and fears. With the right trigger at the right time, someone can destroy themselves. From the assumptions held by L, there is someone responsible for killing the criminals, and it appears that the murders were not carried out directly, but rather from a distance. From the assumptions he holds, L realizes that Kira has vigilante traits who like to punish people with his own hands, and has a superiority complex like a sniper who can kill from a distance. L also realizes that Kira is not someone who wants revenge or a criminal organization, and does not engage in discussions through established laws just because he feels he is a person who believes in justice, and justice must be upheld. Unconsciously aware of what justice itself means, Kira is someone who wants to be like God and punish bad people, driven by pride and a desire to prove his superiority. For someone who tries to be like God like Kira, killing criminals and hiding behind his sense of justice is clearly a person driven by pride, arrogance, someone who feels they must prove to the whole world that they are superior. And what L does is make Kira an opponent of what Kira feels is what he feels is his reason for doing all that, justice. L attacks Kira by saying that what he does is not justice, but evil. L attacks Kira's ego by calling his actions evil, making Kira lose to his own arrogance. In this scene, Light loses. He can no longer kill quietly and is in a very vulnerable position. He can be caught at any time. L learns about a person's weaknesses. He learns how someone sees themselves. A wise person is usually like that because they hide their bad traits. A friendly person hides their gullibility. A generous person hides their need to show that they are good and have superior morals. And a brave person may be because they hide their fear, hiding their lack of masculinity. L learns about a person's weaknesses by observing their subconscious behavior, body language, and inconsistencies in their words. L also targets uncontrollable emotions, such as love, hate, or arrogance, to make his opponent act before they are ready. L forces Kira to make mistakes and show his weaknesses. L challenges Kira to kill him to once again put pressure on Kira, giving Kira a kind of deadline to make him want to kill L. L continuously shows how weak Kira actually is. He says that there are also things that Kira cannot do to once again attack his arrogance, and also show the world that what they are facing is not God, but just an ordinary human. L also managed to find out who Kira's first victim was, because usually the first victim is the most untidy, as the killer's skill is still poor during that period. L ends this scene by repeating his plan, pressing Kira's arrogance and pushing him to make mistakes. L manages to show that Kira really exists and manages to show the world his abilities and also make the world fight against him. And not only that, he manages to find out Kira's location, which is not only in Japan, but specifically in the Kanto area. From here, L continuously tries to corner Light. He already knows that Light is Kira, and all he needs is proof. Death Note's writer, Tsugumi Ohba, created L as a force of justice and a super detective, standing between Light and his goal. L managed to fight against something completely unknown, something that had never existed before. However, he still almost defeated Light, who had a lot of power and supernatural abilities. In one scene, L admits to Light that he is L in public by using the name Hideki Ruga, a famous actor in Japan, to try to trap Light. L also managed to capture the second Kira, Misa Mane, and almost throughout the series, he knew that Light was Kira, only unable to prove it until it was too late. L knew that Light was Kira almost all the time in this series. He just couldn't prove it until it was too late. Although L was fighting against an unknown supernatural force, and he almost won. Ohba, the writer of Death Note, said that L is his favorite human character because he is the smartest in the entire Death Note series. He can filter Kira's suspects from anyone in the world, from billions of people to just one person, Light Yagami. The only thing that made him lose to Light was because Light had so much power in his hands. He had a supernatural power that never existed before. He had the Death Note, Shinigami, information from his father, and a partner with the Death Note, Shinigami, and Shinigami Eyes. L died because of something he couldn't control, he couldn't escape from it, he couldn't run from the Shinigami who killed him, Rem. L was very smart. He didn't die because of his mistake, because he never made a mistake. Light had a magical book, an invisible demon, a father who turned out to be the head of the police, but L could still fight him. L almost defeated him. L was very smart, his deductive ability was very good, and many people felt stupid when dealing with him. L tended to question everything. He was very thorough and analytical. L and Light are actually two sides of the same coin. They have extraordinary intelligence and strong determination, but differ in their approach to justice and morality. In the film Death Note Relight, Vision of a God, L once said,
"Because in truth, I am that monster."
L is very smart, but justice is not his goal. He is a monster just like Light, a liar. L uses pretexts. He often provides false information and uses his knowledge of human nature to achieve his goals. Ohba once said that L is actually a liar. With his status as the world's greatest detective, he, like Light, has a very high ego and is very sensitive. He is afraid something is wrong with his deductions and theories. This is evident through his drastic actions throughout the series. When people read or watch Death Note, L is usually the one that attracts people and makes them want to watch the series until the end. He is a strange and funny person who can do very brilliant and interesting things throughout the series. But what people don't know is that L never cared about justice. He just wanted to solve cases that he found interesting. He just wanted to solve the mystery in the case. According to Ohba, L is willing and able to sacrifice people just to get tips on the cases he is working on, and is willing to break the law and lie to solve the case. In conclusion, L was almost successful in catching Kira if it weren't for the supernatural power beyond his control. He uses many tactics, including provocation, ego manipulation, and deception, to solve the case. L in Death Note shows how intelligence, tenacity, and strategy can be powerful weapons in the fight against evil. L in the series is not just a master detective. He's a complex enigma of intellect and emotional detachment. His false test, the extra writing to trap Light, and his attempts to unmask him are all part of his intricate web to catch Kira. L doesn't let emotions cloud his judgment, except for that one rare moment when he first encounters a Shinigami. It's not the fear of the death god that shocks him, but the validation of his wild theory. This moment of revelation makes his knees buckle, not because he fears for his life, but because his seemingly outlandish hypothesis is true. L trembling when a task force member is killed by Kira isn't rooted in fear or grief. Instead, it's the unsettling challenge to his theory. How could Kira know the name of a policeman he should not know? It's a crack in L meticulously constructed logic. L emotional facade continues as he pretends to idolize Misa Amane, masking his true intent to steal her phone and gather evidence. His willingness to detain and torture Misa and to confine Light shows his ruthless dedication to solving the case. He never considers Light's potential suffering. Every action is a calculated move, a possible trick by Light to deceive him. Oba, the creator, reveals that L stated percentages of Light being Kira are mere fabrications. These figures are meant to reassure the task force, including Light's father, preventing rash actions that could jeopardize their mission. When L says 7%, he truly means 97%. One of the most poignant moments is when L tells Light he is his first and only friend. This statement's sincerity remains seek to evoke empathy from Light, or does he genuinely feel this connection? In another scene, L admits he wants Light to be Kira, craving the intellectual competition that pushes his genius to its limits. For L, a friend might indeed be someone who challenges him, who forces him to stretch his cognitive abilities to their fullest extent. L admiration for Kira's divine-level psychology reveals his own possible ascent to this state. He recognizes a kindred spirit in Light, someone willing to sacrifice anything to achieve their goals. L competitive nature and childlike insistence on solving cases at any cost, as noted in the How to Read Death Note, illustrate his willingness to commit crimes if it means cracking the case. His ultimate satisfaction comes not from justice, but from the thrill of the challenge. L passed in Wami's house, where he violently rejects the orphan's attempts to comfort him, declaring them malevolent and himself as justice, paints a picture of his isolated, justice-driven mindset from a young age. L and Light are indeed two sides of the same coin, both driven by their sense of justice, but willing to cross any line to achieve their ends. L is not the hero we might expect. He is perhaps a sociopath obsessed with solving mysteries and reaching his objectives, regardless of the cost. His passion, obsession, and love for problem solving are what fuel his extraordinary intellect. When faced with a seemingly insurmountable case, L's excitement lies in the challenge, indifferent to the sacrifices required. Learning about mental models can expand our understanding of the world and enhance our problem-solving skills. For example, economic models like supply and demand help us understand pricing, while psychological models like Maslow's hierarchy of needs help us understand human motivation. Studying diverse models from various fields broadens our perspective and improves our analytical abilities. Staying open to learning and continuously updating our knowledge is essential. The world constantly changes, and today's knowledge might be irrelevant tomorrow. We must be proactive in seeking new information and learning from our experiences and others. Practicing critical and analytical thinking takes time and patience. While we may not achieve L level of intelligence and analytical prowess, we can still improve our own abilities and become better problem solvers and decision makers. Ultimately, while L and Light in Death Note demonstrate how intellect and analytical sharpness can be used for both good and evil, we can take away lessons to enhance our thinking. We can strive to think more critically, analytically, and wisely in our daily lives while maintaining our integrity and ethics. What are your thoughts on this video? Let's discuss it in the comments below. Also, which other character do you think deserves an in-depth analysis? Thank you for watching the video till the end. See ya!